Welcome to another episode of Favorites and Fails, where we break down our favorite and least favorite aspects of the bikes we've been riding. This particular motorcycle is a 2018 Suzuki GSX-S1000Z. Now, it makes about 135 horsepower on our dyno, weighs in at 466 pounds, and costs $10,999. So my absolute favorite thing on the GSX is going to be the price, and that's probably going to be the standout favorite for a lot of people. This GSX-1000Z is actually $200 more expensive than the standard GSX ABS. For that $200, you get this sweet black Batman-inspired paint job. But to put this bike in context for the class, it's about $1,000 less than a CB1000, it's about $2,000 less than an FZ10, and just for fun, I'll point out that it's almost $8,000 cheaper than a fully spec'd Super Duke R. So we really want to give it up to Suzuki for keeping this class of motorcycle accessible. However, that low price does come at a cost, and my least favorite thing on the GSX has got to be the throttle response. On and off throttle is extraordinarily abrupt, and the thing is, we've ridden bikes that make more horsepower, bikes that make more torque, and are still really consistent on their throttle feel. So we know that it's possible to fix this problem, and we really hope that sometime soon, Suzuki does. For a bike with the go power of 135 horses like the GSX, it's important that you also have some quality stopping power. And luckily, the brakes on this bike are another one of our favorites. From the radial master cylinder to the radial Brembo calipers, the braking performance has been really stellar on this machine. Now, I will say that these Brembos are not the highest quality Brembos that you can get, but they still are a high-end component that we're really happy to see on a bike that's offered at this price level. On to the electronics, we have kind of a mixed bag. On the one hand, there is traction control, which is nice, and even better is that you can adjust it while you're on the fly. You can even turn it off while you're moving. But the system itself is just not very sophisticated. It seems like it's a lot more concerned with safety than with fun. So even if you do a small wheelie or you get the bike a little bit out of sorts, it becomes intrusive. And on a bike that is as sporty as this here GSX, we just wish that it had a little bit more refinement and it gave us as a rider a little bit more freedom. And I would be remiss if I did not point out the controls and menu system on this motorcycle. I would like to clarify that I'm super picky about stuff like this, so for a lot of you, it isn't going to matter at all, and you can go ahead and fast forward. But for those of you out there who care, I'd like to point out a few things. This button and this button, up and a down, you would think. Nope, it controls one set of information on the left and one set of information on the right, unless you go to traction control, and then it is an up and a down button. And then you have a select button here, and you have a select button here that do the exact same thing. I don't know why you wouldn't just make this a dedicated clock button if it's there so that you can hold it down with adjust and change the clock. And there's no ambient temperature readout, which for someone like me who rides in Southern California, it's a real struggle. I don't know if it's 72 degrees out or if it's 75 degrees out. Overall, it's a system that I did learn and I did get used to, but it's a system that I wish I didn't have to learn in the first place. For you Suzuki enthusiasts out there, you're probably wondering why I haven't mentioned this engine yet. And for those of you who don't know, this is the engine made famous by the K5 GSX-R. But what that really means is that this engine design is over a decade old. In a class filled with powerful, rambunctious engines, this one just leaves us wanting a little bit more. It's not an issue of power, but kind of an issue of character. And because of that, I don't want to say this engine is a fail, but it's definitely not a favorite for me either. So in the end, if there is one standout feature about this bike, it's just going to be the price. Everything on it is kind of good, but just not ever really great. And if you're dying to have a piece of GSX-R lineage sitting in your garage, I think you can buy this bike and ride it and be perfectly happy. That's it for this episode of Faves and Fails on the GSX-1000Z. I hope you guys enjoyed it, but if you have any comments or questions, just make sure to leave it in the comments section below. Otherwise, make sure you subscribe, and we will see you next time.